What's up, guys? I'm back. I just woke up to some of the comments, and I'm glad I made the video because that's what I needed to hear. So I appreciate it to those of you guys that took the time to watch it and to comment. Because I needed that motivation. I've to be honest, I've let this sit in the corner, partly because of my OCD, and partly because I felt like it was worthy of, a $2,000 or $3,000 bill, and I haven't really done one of those yet. As you know, the X2 is a budget racer, and this one here, the Baja, I've done it fairly cheap. I mean, I've got some money into it, but I've done it fairly cheap. So it's really not, that's not a high dollar bill. It's just not. When I think about it, and I still intend to do the math to see what I've spent, but I wanted to, just wanted to respond to some of the comments and let you guys know that I didn't mention last night that I would need to buy a $12 receiver. Yeah, so that's what this video is about. Just kidding. This is the battery box. I got this little handy dandy tunnel for the wiring. And of course, your antenna hole, your on-off switch. And there's really no compartment to separate the receiver and the wiring from the battery pack. I haven't taken a look at what battery pack guys run, or what Kraken recommends, but I realized last night that the hump pack fits and the 5T battery fits. So, again, in the way of being a cheap prick, I think that's what we might do. And even though it has this little charging port built right into the front, I will never be using that. I loosened up the servo saver last night. This was really tight, just to turn back and forth by hand. So I loosened it about a half, maybe a quarter, a little over a quarter of a turn, and it freed it up a bit. I think they had tightened it a little too much. They had already chewed up the teeth on it a bit here and there. So that wasn't me, guys, just so you know. When I came out about a half hour ago, and I had my daughter with me, and she was rolling around in her walker. I had the cage on it, but I had forgot that I had set my throttle servo here, just to kind of eyeball it out, see which way it needed to go based on the way the wiring comes out of the bottom. And when I pulled the cage off, the servo went with it. And of course it hit the floor and busted an ear off the top plate. Busted that corner off. I used some epoxy that is used for windshields, rearview mirrors, and windows. The little sills that the windows sit into on a car, whether it be driver's or passenger side windows, they have an epoxy that they use to hold the little plastic sill, and the stuff is no joke. It has to be mixed. It's one of those deals where they give you a little gun and you kind of squeeze it, and the two chemicals, you mix them together and you get yourself a badass glue. So I'm hoping it works. Either way, I'll be using a servo clamp more than likely. Now knowing that I have this issue. So I figured I'd show you guys this thing in the daylight as well. You can kind of see in there that that's not just a standard gear. I think you can anyway. Nah, not enough lighting. But I didn't realize that these had a slipper clutch in them until very recently. I was on one of the Facebook sites, one of the Facebook groups, and somebody mentioned it. That rear brake, or that brake, looks really cheap. The actual material, but the brake is sprung. I don't know if you can see in there, but it's got springs, and they gave me all the linkage that I need. All the gears look good. The plastic looks good. Vinny Capasso, he mentioned that he has one of these. He had some issues with it. Basically, the plastic was just breaking and, you know, falling apart in his hands while he was trying to build it. He's not the first one that said that. This came built, and to be honest now, you know, in hindsight, I wish I just told him to send it to me in a box, you know, full of pots. But yeah, Kraken acknowledged that some of the issues they had with their plastics from what I was told, and now when they sell you the kit, they give you upgraded plastics and tell you not to use the other plastics that are in the kit. So they threw in some replacements basically, and I think the front arms were an issue. I think maybe the hinge pins, some of the metal might have been an issue as well. Of course, this is an issue. These pop right off. I've never heard of anybody talking about them popping off in the front, but I noticed Kraken had announced last night that not only is the trophy truck going to come with a capped end here, but it's also going to come with a capped end up front, so they can't pop off. And a few companies have made upgrades that eliminate it anyway, and from what I understand, there's a few DIYs that you can do, especially back here too. There's a DIY, because this bolts to the cage, which is kind of a pain in the ass, and it also the cage bolts over here. I believe it's here. Yeah, it's here. So the cage bolts here and on the other side. So it's 4 bolts to hold it, and then it locks onto here with 2 with 2 body pins. So it's on there pretty good, but definitely not something you can get off relatively easy. So yeah, the whole servo thing was a bummer, but it's a brand new servo, and I was curious how it was going to sit, you know, which way it would need to sit. And of course, I believe this is the way, but I don't know. I'm not sure how the linkage is supposed to line up. If it goes this way, it has an issue with the way the wiring will need to sit between the battery box. See what I'm saying? So I don't know. I guess we'll find out. So stay tuned, guys. Ryan, I completely agree. That's what I'm talking about. We'll do it on a budget. I'll do it on a budget. And as I break things, as I see things need upgrading, I will upgrade. There's no need to let this thing take me another year to build and put $2 or $3 grand into it. There's just no need for it. Why not just go have some fun with it and enjoy it? And, you know, as things break and as I learn about it, so, you know, that way there I'm not learning about it based on what I'm reading and seeing. I'm actually physically learning about it, and I'm, you know, firsthand experience. So I agree. So I'm gonna stop making orders, and we're gonna build this thing, and I'm gonna document the whole thing. Brad's Aussies, I appreciate it. Fine gamer, I know you've been waiting, guy. I've been waiting too. Like I said, part of it was me thinking that I eventually would finish these two and then stop working on this. But I've come to realize, like most of us, anything car related, it's never finished. So just, you know, they're as close to they're gonna get as, you know, to being done. At least the Baja anyway. Of course, the X2 is ready to rock and roll, and I'm happy with where it's at. But yeah, so it's sat there for so long. This thing is sat in a corner collecting dust for really no reason. You know, now that I think about it, I just, you know, I had myself convinced that it needed to be a $2,000-$3,000 build for me to have fun with it, and now I'm seeing that that's absolutely not the case. So again, I appreciate it. Greg C, again, I'm with you, brother. I appreciate the motivation. We're gonna build this on a budget, and we're gonna make it work. Mike F, my man has been waiting to see this thing. And listen, you told me you had a surprise. So if you're gonna break out a Vekta next season, you might see me there. It might be clone versus Kraken. So again, stay tuned, guys. I appreciate it. We'll get an update video next week. I'm gonna make an order and see what I can come up with.